Okay, so hey guys, and welcome back to another predictions video. In today's video, I'm going to be predicting the Vera versus Sandhagen fight. If you are new around here though and you haven't subscribed, please do so. Like the 15, do indeed like the video, and let's get straight into it. So, going into this fight, Vera is 27-1 with 8 KOs and 8 submissions, and Sandhagen is 15-4 with 7 KOs and 3 submissions. This fight is a 5-round fight in the bantamweight division. Vera's asked for was a win via KO in round 4 versus Cruz, and Sandhagen's asked for was a win via TKO in round 4 versus Yadong. Vera's UFC losses have come against Beltran in 2014, Grant in 2016, Lineker in 2017, Silva de Andrade in 2018, Yadong in 2020, and Aldo in 2020 as well. Since then, he's on a 4-fight win streak. Of course, he has lost to that opponent, Yadong, that Sandhagen has just beat. But I suppose that kind of recency of that 4-fight win streak is what kind of matters in the UFC, and that's something I do like compared to boxing. That kind of the recency is more important than the whole record. And I mean, compared to Sandhagen, who had losses in the UFC against Sterling in 2020 and Dillashaw in 2021 and Jan in 2021. That's kind of recency for Sandhagen hasn't been as good. I mean, obviously he's coming off of that win against Yadong, but before that, the back-to-back defeats didn't really help his cause. But of course, they were against very tough opposition, and one of them was a title fight. And I mean, you see what's kind of happened with the fighters since. Jan's still fighting at a good high level. Sterling, the champion. Dillashaw just had a title shot and then retired. Tough opponents, very tough opponents. Both fighters are arguably in their prime, in my opinion. I mean, they're both, I believe, 30 years old or 29, 30 years old, so they're both arguably in the prime. Speaking of Vera as a fighter, he's dangerous on the ground. He is a countering fighter. He's powerful punches. He has good combinations. He's fast, throws in bunches, catches when opponents come in. He's accurate. He timed very well versus Cruz. At knockout versus Cruz, he timed that extremely well. And that kind of overall, I suppose he is explosive as well, and that kind of countering, he takes a lot of punishment, but he will give it back, and that's something which isn't something that you always see. He is very fast when he counters as well, and like I said, throws in bunches, and so that's what caught Cruz off points at times, and kind of caught him off guard at times, is what I meant to say, as that kind of, he'd commit, and when he committed, he just kind of put you straight back down when Vera wanted to kind of commit himself, and that's why he got a couple knockdowns versus Cruz, and then eventually did get the KO. But yeah, he's very accurate, and he did time that very well. And I mean, he went for that shot a couple times versus Cruz and landed it every time, but that time that he did, that kick to the head was very, very well timed. The kind of negatives is he takes punishment, like I said. He will take that punishment, but of course he will give it back in bunches. He can be caught flat-footed at times, so he is open for a takedown at points. He's not got the best takedown defense, is what I saw against Cruz. I suppose he wasn't too much on the ground, and he can be dangerous on the ground. I mean, the time that Cruz took him down early on in that last fight, he did look more dangerous on the ground than Cruz, but he is open to being brought to the ground, and I mean, I don't really see this being a ground fight, to be honest, between these two fighters. Speaking about Sandhagen, he has the height and reach advantage. He's used to that. He's one of the tallest bantamweights, I think mixed with O'Malley as well. He has very good shot selection. He's powerful. He's a technical striker. He changes levels well. He finds openings. He invites pressure. He gets back to his feet well, and he has a high volume puncher. Similar kind of high volume to Vera. He's not as much of a counterer as what Vera is. That shot selection is what was very good against Yadong. That kind of slick elbow inwards is something that you don't always see. I don't know how. I've not described it the best. If you want to go see it, go watch that last fight. That opening cut for Yadong. That was a very good shot, and he did just throw lots of different types of shots, and that's something which is very interesting to see, and that's why he is a technical striker and arguably one of the better strikers in the UFC. Of course, he changes levels well to go for the strikes. He'll go to the body, he'll go to the head. It's very good. He finds the openings, he finds gaps using the different kind of shot selections. He does invite pressure, so he is, I suppose, somewhat of a counterer. like Vera, but he does throw more of a volume than what Vera does. Vera throws a volume all in one go. Sandhagen kind of throws a volume over a period of time. Sandhagen's kind of negatives is he does get caught coming in, so he is similar to Vera when he comes in. He is a bit reckless, but he kind of gets caught maybe more often than what Vera does. He can struggle to find range at points. It might take him a round or two to find that range. He's not the best on his back, and so possibly if Vera does want to go to the ground, that's something he might want to do. And he will give you openings to the back. I don't think either of them have got the best of chins, so this why the striking could be an interesting fight and could be a knockout in this fight. Vera is the favourite for this fight, and I think that Vera will win via TKO in round 3. I think that kind of explosiveness will just be too much for Sandhagen, and I think Vera is at the point of his career, like, he is just looking so good in every fight at the moment, and the way that he dealt with Cruz and managed to get that KO, I think if he can time possibly Sandhagen when he does come in, he might be able to do that, and then maybe when he's throwing high punches, if he can counter well, Vera, he might be able to get a TKO, and I think he will in round 3. And then with the bantamweight division, I mean, Cejudo's kind of come in and thrown a bit of a spanner in the works, I suppose, in the rankings, and so Sterling's fighting Cejudo. I think Dvalishvili should get the shot against whoever wins. Depending on if they'll have a rematch, Sterling Cejudo, depending on how close that fight is. If they don't, I think Dvalishvili should get that shot. And so I think Vera should rematch O'Malley and should have that chance to rematch O'Malley, even though he did get the win in the first place. I think O'Malley isn't really in a rush to get that title shot and shouldn't really be in too much of a rush. And I think that fight versus Vera is one that he's going to want to avenge O'Malley, and so I think that's what should happen. But yeah, that is it for today's video. Hope you enjoy. Like the video if you need, like this, subscribe if you're new, and thanks for watching.